Hey guys, I'm going to show you how to rig a rope swing start to finish at the Fruitbowl in Moab, Utah. This is going to show a lot of the prep behind the scenes because that's a huge part of it. How to set up the high line, how to connect the rope jumps, and how to drop it back, and a couple forces on the end. And I'm not going to hold you hostage. There are going to be timestamps below for you to just skip through to the parts you want to see.
Yeah, buddy.
Let me show you what we got here laid out on the floor. I've already spent like an hour kind of sorting through the little candy store of gear down here and picking out exactly what I think will be the best for our simple classic Fruitbowl rope swing, where we set up 110 foot, 35-ish meters as our horizontal or high line, and then our 60-meter jump ropes. Now we have 80 meters, but we're not going to use all of it or we would hit the rocks. And that is something I really want to discuss in this video. It's really embarrassing to die if nothing fails. So we're going to double check that we are double safe. Everything is going to be redundant. So let me show you what we got. So this is the big picture of our anchors, ropes, our webbing, personal stuff, our more anchor stuff, and just spare stuff was super nice to have. Let's start with anchors. I have short ropes. You can tie BFKs with this. I got 2 of them just because the anchors are so far away at the Fruitbowl, and 1 span set in 1 giant padding that I can also include a backpack if I need to. So this is 1 anchor. We have more or less an identical setup over here. I don't need any carabiners. There's chains or glue-ins that I can thread the ropes through, and the BFKs will allow us to use what we have over there. Now it is super important to know how long your rope is. Luckily, these still have the tags on the end. We can see that they're 80 meters. Otherwise, we would have to check. And we're still gonna go second. Always go second. Drop a bag first before you jump. If you use 80-meter ropes at the classic Fruitbowl rope swing, you will hit the ground. It's very important you only jump with 60s, but these are the nicest ropes we have to jump with. So we are just going to use 60 meters of this. It'll be easy to do that. We'll show you how to do that later. If we don't have a haul system, I have to come back up the rope. So I got some gloves, my harness, an aider, gree just so I can go back down the rope, or we just have it for rescue scenarios. Always a personal anchor. If you're going to be near a cliff edge, be clipped in. Some ascenders and some other goofy stuff I'm going to tinker with. So now I'm going to get the tripod. I'm going to set this up. We are going to use the segmented highline system to stabilize the ring in the center without having to have a rope to do that. And we'll show you that as I set it up. But this is going to be one side where we're going to fold this in half in a U shape. And this is going to be sew and loop. This is going to be sew and loop. And same with this side. And they're going to meet in the middle. And we're going to connect this ring that has all this stuff. So we have mini soft shackle videos. If you want to learn how to make these, of course, they're available online to buy in a variety of places. I'm going to use swivels, and I'll kind of explain all this while I get started here. I have the 2 halves. I'm going to keep them together, and I'm going to stack this pile right next to this, and then I'll find the center. Okay, so this is the end or the middle. And so in order to know that that's the end, and I definitely don't need all this webbing, I'm going to just tie a real giant frost knot here, just so I know that's the middle, and that can get put into the bag from one end when we put the whole potato in the thing. So I'm going to do the same thing to the side. And now we can work on connecting this all together. Step 1 is to take the ring, and I can just leave that cluster on there if I want. It's nice to put that on there before attaching everything. Otherwise, we're sliding it over all of that. I'm just going to put that off to the side. I'm going to pick whichever one to be main and this one to be main. And I'm going, oh, I'll use this one. I'm going to use a quick link to connect main so they're as tight to each other as possible. I'm going to slip that in there. I'm going to use a wrench to tighten this down before I tape it all up. And now the newest and latest way to attach segmented lines is to do like this W shape. So you go through one, if that's going to sit on top of there. Then you go through that way. Pull that. Back through that way. And back through that way. Because you want the soft shackle to be attached to all 4 points. I'll show that to you in a second. I'm going to tape this shut, and we're going to tape it all out of the way. The idea is these backup loops can be pulled so they're not stacked on top of here, which is more important when you're highlining than rope jumping, that it isn't super, super thick. I don't know how confusing that is. If this is confusing to you, you definitely shouldn't be rigging high lines or rope jumping. But this will straighten out when we tension things. Padded loops on 8mm quick links do kind of suck, but it gives us plenty of strength. So this is sort of done. What we need to do is stabilize this ring. Okay, so I took that cluster off, and now we want to stabilize this ring right on top of that quick link. Not going to hurt anything. And this, by the way, is Sky Pilot. It's a stretchy, thick webbing. And so, super bomber. And I like the stretchiness for absorbing the force as we jump. So the ring's going to sit here, but we don't want it to slide one way or another when we're jumping. We want it to stay stationary in the middle. Soft shackle in this way, you go through the ring, but also through the other soft shackle. And it kind of has this little crisscross pattern. So this ring does have a little bit of wiggle room, which is fine. I'm going to tape everything in place, and I'm going to tape padding on top of that quick link. And so if it does move a little bit, it's not going to rub through anything in the very few jumps that we're going to be doing. In an effort to make this easier for you to understand, I feel like I'm making this more confusing. Anyways, I stuck that only on top. It doesn't need to wrap around the whole thing because the ring is only going to be pushing down on that. And I'm going to start right here. I tape those two together. And I'm going to start about right here. And I'm just going to tape the entire thing together. And it'll be just one unit. And the ring is going to have everything clipped to this bottom side when we're done. I'm going to mark here that this is the top, and I'm going to feed it out so I know which side is the top over there. So I left these here. This can move a little bit. It doesn't want to move much because these soft shackles, these button heads are there as well. It's not a lot of force moving it back and forth. We just don't want it sliding all the way down the line. So now what's next is on this underneath side is we're going to connect the jump ropes. I'm going to use swivels, one for each rope, so I'm not spinning too much when I'm down at the bottom. And so I'm going to just use a locking carabiner here. And then for the second swivel, I'm going to use a soft shackle so it offsets the height of both swivels. So let's put this in super good enough. So this carabiner is locked, and this soft shackle is taped shut. And that's redundancy. They're very independent from each other. There are two rings here, by the way. This is just taped together. There are two webbings. There is two ways to connect this, and this soft shackle is connecting all four. So there is a lot of redundancy in here. We just want to keep things organized now. I'm now going to flake out the climbing ropes and attach them here. And then we're going to flake this and the ropes all into a bag together so they all come out together. So figure eight going to this one. I'm going to figure eight with the Yosemite finish where the tail goes back up through the knot on this one. They're both cinched down pretty dang good. And this is super nice to have a swivel. So this is pretty much done. Now we're gonna flake it into the bag very carefully. We're gonna put this side on top because this is the side I'm gonna carry to that side. This is the one that'll be at the bottom of the bag. And once I pull this over to the center, then we put everything in these web locks. Now typically these sew-in loops are gonna be on the static side, but we have all the sew-in loops in the middle. So I'm gonna have a soft release on one side, and I have that, and then I have these for the other side, and just a bunch of spare stuff. So I'm gonna put this in a bag, and then we're gonna take off. All right, with the one carabiner, this is the very bottom. You can just tell because it just goes down and it gets stuck. The ropes are obviously right here. And this is the top, the side that will pull up, which is just right under the ropes, so it'll come out pretty easily. This is what we're going to clip off to bolts first, and then we're going to take this, we're going to walk around and rig this thing. So it's time to go to bed. I'm going to throw our anchor right on top, and I'll throw that material in there as well. See you in the morning. We're gonna rig a high line right here, and we're gonna jump off either here or here, and we're gonna make sure our ropes are not too long. Everything we need ready to go, which is super nice. I'm gonna start with the ropes. They were the last things that we put in here. I'm gonna put that there. And I'm going to flake it out here, and we are gonna be very careful. Brett is not going to walk with the bag attached to him in case I fall off the cliff and hang on to the webbing. I don't want to pull him off either. So you just really want to be aware that if something's going to go, just let it go. Your life's not worth it. You really need to respect the edge if you're going to be playing around it. This is the bottom of the thing, okay? This is what you're going to attach to the bolts over here. And I'll just kind of yell at you and tell you how to keep going. You're gonna stay here, and I'm gonna take this end and I'm going to walk around, and you're gonna try to keep the webbing off of the rocks. And then once I'm there and you're here, you can grab the webbing and the bag and you can just carry it over there. I don't know why I say kill an intent.
Well, I think you do it at this point just to bother the people that are
Yeah, I'd actually get more comments. Thanks for the algorithm bump there, guys. We're gonna run through all these bolts right here, tie a big fat knot, and extend it with our span set. Okay, so I'm picking these 3 bolts. 3 is super good enough for what I'm doing. I'm gonna back it up to that when we're done. Pull this down, pull this down. If you don't know how to rig a high line, please don't rope swing. So I want about this much extra tail on this side, which means I need more here. And extend this out further because I'm trying to get to the edge. So it takes a little finessing. That's super good enough. Now, we have to tie the knot because it doesn't self-equalize in the direction we want it, which I suppose is about right there. I'm just gonna tie it overhand. All right, so I'm dressing this thing. Now, all of these strands are individualized. This is redundant because they're all on their own. And I'm not going to tighten it more than that, so that way everything kind of settles on its own when we add tension. We're not even adding that much tension. So now I need to extend this. I might girth hitch it, depending. Yeah, I'll girth hitch it. We've got a long ways to go here. That super strong enough. I'm not going to get closer to the edge than this without being clipped in, and this will put our anchor right past the edge. I don't like my web locks to be way out, and so that makes it hard to get back. And so I kind of ideally want the web lock to be right here, but I want all the webbing to be over the edge because that's what we don't want rubbing. Even though we're going to pad it, we still don't want that. So I make this little X, pull that through, and we have a whole video on that. Bet you didn't think I was gonna say that, did you? Anyways, so that puts us right there. Magic, it's an adjustable sling. We're gonna measure the force this sees, at least on the main line. We're gonna have a backup line. It might hit some of that and limit how much we're seeing on this guy, but it shows us how much one line is seen, and we know the force of one line. I'm guessing that the Sky Pilot webbing is high 20s, if not low 30s. MBS. This is an Alpine Weblock 5.0. You can get that on Balance Community. I'll put that in the link in the descriptions below. This is the newest and latest and hippest, where you can put the webbing back through itself, throw a carabiner on it, and you don't have to like tie off the tail because things can slip. See here, the 5.0 doesn't hit the screen of the Enforcer, and it's going to be a little bit looser. So this is super good enough, and we're going to pad the crap out of this and then back it up when we're all done with the extra rope that we have. And I am being clipped in while near a cliff edge. So let's go to the other side and build that anchor. So this is all set up now. Brett's going to help manage getting this master point center part, where the ropes are attached, out to the exact middle, so we go right through the canyon. Once we determine where it goes, I'm going to put it in the web locks on that side. Then I'm going to come back over here, find flat, put in the web lock over here, tension it, and we're ready to go. We will back this up as well, possibly to the bolts back there. However, if this rock fails, because this is like an overhang, we're still attached to it. Take as long as you need to think about that. I have this far to go before I'm over the edge. This is going to stretch, and the web lock is over there. It's going to be hanging over the edge. It's perfect. Not only is the web lock going to be hanging over the edge, we have a soft release in the system so we can unwind this later and not have to pull some funky magic tricks to get the tension out of it to pop the pin. Just unravel it, and Brett's going to just pull it all over. If you don't know what a soft shackle is, please don't rope jump. So you don't have to have 4 separate pieces in order to do this. You just have sewn loops on the end of any webbing you buy. It could be 50-meter pieces or even 100-meter pieces. I think Balance Community sells 60-meter pieces. And this way you can just fold it in half, and that's how we got the sewn loops on both ends. So it looks like it is a little bit too far this way, but after we pull that in, it might need to go just about a foot over. But I pretty much want it centered because I don't want to hit any of the sides of the canyon, obviously. Terrifying. Really no reason to go into 2 bolts. This rope is not even half as strong as 1, so I'm just going to go through 1, do the classic snap ball and that off, and then I'm just going to tie this directly to the master point over there. This little thing is a wafer. It has sticky rubber inside. We're going to grab the line and do a 3-to-1, which is what happens when we pull the tail. You can also get this on Balance Community. All the stuff's in the description below. Basically, it really helps when you click that link when you go buy stuff from Balance Community. Just saying. There we go. Oh, that was scary. Things adjusted. It's all okay. Just my heart fell. I have to go get that later. So as far as strength goes, let's say on a conservative note, both of these webbings are 25 kilonewtons each. They're working together because they stretch. The main one will stretch and start to bottom out on the bottom one. The ropes, you might only have one tied tighter than the other, but either way, both would have to be like pulled quite a bit to break those, and we're gonna break around 15 to 20 each. And so everything in the system is bomber. Span sets are super strong. It's basically a 10,000 pound setup. And we're gonna measure the force that we put on. I know we get around 3-ish kilonewtons or under 1,000 pounds for sure. We'll find out with Brett. And so we have like a 10-to-1 safety ratio here. Redundant safety ratios being clipped in near the cliff edge, and always throw the bag off first, which is what we're gonna do after I tie off the tails here. I got enough rope here, so I did double strand through the main web lock because we're padded. We are redundant to other bolts. We're padded, we're secured. This tail, even if we want to be extra secure, in case everything fails, we'll clip this right here. makes me feel better. That's a lot of apocalyptic anchors, as I call them. Now, let's go throw a bag and see if this actually works. This isn't to test the strength of the rope swing, okay? Somebody has actually died in the past from the rope being too long. And fun fact, these are 80-meter ropes. So basically, if you jump this with a full 80 meters, you'll hit the slopey part right below us, and then you die. So you always want to go second. So we're gonna just throw a bag, so have somebody stand there, kind of watch the whole trajectory. They'll be clipped in. This is how to be as safe as possible. Now I need a little bit of weight, so I'm going to put some rocks in here. We're pulling this bag back up, obviously, and so we have some 4 or 5 mil accessory cord in the bag that we're just gonna watch go over the edge. But yeah, we're just gonna do about that much, just so it gets a good swing in there. We'll clip this in with this beater, and because this Fruitbowl Classic line is so commonly rigged, please jump with 60s. How do you know how much 60 meters is on this? Okay, so I'm gonna tie a knot right here. Then this resistance is why I clip in. I'm just gonna tie a BFK in that. And I'm gonna clip it to this bag. Yahoo! Brett had a good point, being 240?
40 pounds.
40 pounds? Does it account for stretching the rope? You should have enough clearance with the bag to have the rope stretch a little bit. It was pretty high off the rock from my angle. How was it from your angle? Super good enough? So, what we might do with Brett is have him jump from here, which means we can shorten the ropes up about 10 or 15 feet. And that low spot there, he would avoid completely. So it's really embarrassing to die if nothing fails. Okay, I am ready to jump, but I thought I'd film more to procrastinate having to do it. There are a few ways to screw even this part up now that we know the bag is safe. We just did some tests to make sure everyone here knows how to ascend the rope, since that's the method we're doing in this case. And everything's bummer. But if you don't exit well, and if you don't jump out far enough, you hit your tailbone on the edge you're exiting, that's a problem. If you jump too far that way, you'll hit the other wall. 2, 1.
Yeah, buddy.
Peak force was 2.79.
3.36.
2, 1. Oh, yeah! How was it?
It was the absolute best and the absolute worst.
Are you terrified?
I'm terrified.
Yeah. You tell me right now how you're safe. Explain the system to me.
Okay, well I have this guy, which is rated to 100 kilonewtons or something crazy. And then I have both of these locking carabiners doubled up on this rope, which I've whipped on ropes plenty of times. Then I have this backup overhand knot with a steel locker to my belay loop. This is through this AM steel. And it's all doubled through on both of my loops. I have all of my ascension gear.
Yep, I put the hangover right here for you.
Hangovers right there.
A little water, now that we know.
A little water,
Yep.
2 indirects.
Now that we know. You got to technically have 2 personal anchors, so you can be
Yep.
super safe. And you're gonna, what's the most important thing when you jump?
Have fun.
Smile.
Smile.
You pretty much got that.
Okay.
Because if you don't smile, you might not have fun. Wouldn't that be a shame? Do it! Do it!
Fucking go! Yeah! Oh my god! 3. 3.99!
3.98 max force, and he got 3.99 on that. That is such a cool coincidence.
So I hope that overwhelmed you, or didn't overwhelm you. If you already are a good Highlander, if you already know the systems, these little tricks and tips will really help you. Otherwise, I hope you just don't want to do it now.